Hey, fellow babies, welcome back to Pachter Factor on SIFTD.net. Join up, spend the $50. Don't be a tightwad. You got it. All right, we got a question from SIFTD from Nemik. When is a good time to invest in stocks, specifically game company stocks? Is it always right before a big announcement, or are there any other clues to look for that us out-of-the-loop people can look for? You know, that's just such a big question. Look, the answer is, I don't know how old you are. If you're about to die and you need enough money just to pay for your funeral, then trying to time it is really hard, and good luck to you. If you're young, and I hope you are, the best time to invest in stocks is always. So the best thing you can do, there's a concept called dollar cost averaging. Put a little bit of money into the market every week for the rest of your life. So you can do that typically through a 401k or an IRA. Depends on what you can afford. I mean, people just starting out, you know, $25, $50 a week is about as much as you can hope to invest and save. I get it. And as you get into making some real money, you make, you know, $75,000 a year, maybe you can afford $100 a week. That's $5,000. As you start making more money, you get up to $100,000, maybe you can do, you know, $200 a week. When you start making real money, if you do, and you put $1,000 a week away, you do the best you can. But the point is, always be investing, because if you look at the market, it does go up. It goes up and down and up and down, but directionally it keeps going up. So what you want to do is just keep buying. If you buy diversified funds, just buy mutual funds that invest in a lot of stuff, and buy a little bit all the time for the rest of your working life, then by the time you get to be as old as me, you might have enough money to retire. As far as game company stocks, they're all kind of toppy right now. They're all kind of at all-time highs. I mean, I think Activision is within 5% of its all-time high. EA hit its all-time high a week or so ago. It's within 5%. Take-Two within 5%. Ubisoft is at an all-time high. So it's hard to buy anything at an all-time high. And I don't think that I would advise you to be that narrow in your investment philosophy. Better to buy something that's diverse, that is protected in case the market goes down. I lately have been putting my personal investments in what's called an ETF, exchange traded fund, called Noble, N-O-B-L. It's the dividend-paying aristocrats. It's 53, I believe, stocks that have increased their dividend for 20 consecutive years. What does that mean? That means they've earned more every year, and they pass it along to investors. So again, I'm not actually looking for the dividend play. I'm looking for safe, stable investments. Our next question from SIFTD comes from Dastardly. Video games are just as popular as any other form of entertainment, yet gaming news and messaging is not represented in mainstream news channels or common media outlets, and is usually relegated to the quirky segments. Do you think this is a generational thing, or will gaming always be considered lesser than movies or TV? It isn't really mainstream as far as interesting to the mainstream. Just ask your mom. Does your mom want to watch a TV news show like Access Hollywood that's about video games? And she'll say no. Why? Because she doesn't play games. She does care if Matt Damon got a new tattoo or his wife had a new baby, because he's going to be in Jason Bourne, and she knows that movie's coming out and she can't wait to see it. But honestly, ask your mom if she knows who the lead developer on Titanfall is. Ask your mom if she knows who the lead developer on Mortal Kombat is, because she doesn't. I mean, you might, because you're watching the pack, but come on. I mean, most people in the industry don't know. And I think the thing that really might tilt it past, into mainstream is esports. I think if somebody comes up with a way to make games interesting to people who don't play games, and that's really the way that they're televised. So think World Series of Poker. Somebody, ESPN, I don't know who came up with it, figured out a way to televise poker and make it interesting to people, and suddenly we all started watching it. If you can do that with games, then I think it works. So I think you get games mainstream on TV when you get esports that is approachable to people who don't necessarily play games. So it's coming, but I think it is generational. It might take 20 years. Our next question from the SIFTD site, from Rye. How much information do you think Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo know about their competitors' internal plans? Is business intelligence and corporate espionage critical in developing long-term strategy? Are there leaks from vendors, third parties, developers, insiders, or even moles? Would make for a good spy novel, but I think they know very little. Obviously, occasionally people change jobs and go from one console manufacturer to another, but I think it's a lot less than you would expect. The truth is, the specs on their consoles are probably known by the other guy within a week of the decision being final, so I don't think it's that big a deal at all. The guy who probably leaks the most is the commodity component supplier. So, I'm not calling out anybody in particular, but AMD makes the chipset used by both Xbox One and PS4. Now, theoretically, the AMD engineers working on that chipset know what the other, what each of the two console makers was going to do. I gotta believe they talked. I mean, I'm sure that they had non-compete, and I don't want to impugn their integrity. I'm sure they didn't release anything that they weren't allowed to, but the fact that the same company is making the chipset for both, it's just going to become common knowledge. And they're both manufactured kind of in the same set of factories in China. So I think, again, somebody knows. And in China, I'm sure everybody's talking about everything. So, the big secrets, the big secrets are like, oh, the Xbox One S is white. That's the big, that's always the big trade secret. Like, what color is it going to be? And, I remember the day that Microsoft had their press conference at E3, the white picture of the Xbox One S was on the internet. Like, how did that get out? So yeah, somebody got it. Now, I don't know if that's a mole. I don't know if that's, corporate espionage. I don't know if that's a hacker who broke into the system. I don't know if that's a hacker who broke into the PR firm system, because, you can't put together an ad campaign. You can't produce the multimedia for E3 without having, some polished graphics house work on it. So you just never know. Like, exactly, I don't even know how this stuff is transmitted. I mean, is it a flash drive? Is it sent over the internet? Do people actually put it in a folder in paper and carry it over? I don't know. I like this question from SIFTD, from Burko. We've had questions from Burko before. What are your impressions of retro games and even games from last generation being re-released and remastered? I think it's brilliant. And I have to say that, back from 8-bit to 16-bit to 32 to 64 to 128, games got better and better and better. And the truth is, kind of post PS2, or PS2 and later, games are really good. So, do I want to play Tony Hawk 1 from the PS1 era? Probably not. I remember when I played Tony Hawk the first time, it was you on your skateboard. There weren't even any cars on the street because the CPU in the PlayStation 1 wasn't powerful enough to have another vehicle moving while you're moving. And you didn't really notice. You were just kind of cruising along, but it was kind of like the Flintstones cartoon where the same background keeps going, down. It was just not that powerful. And I remember when I saw it on the PS2 and it was like Tony Hawk 3 or something, I was just blown away. I'm like, oh my God, the cars are moving. So, I think PS2 and later games are good enough that you might want to play them again. I don't think you'd enjoy playing a retro game unless it's like a puzzle game. Different for handheld games, side-scroller kind of Super Mario Brothers 3. That I think is going to be good over and over and over again, because that brings back memories of your early game experiences. But I just recently played Asteroids. Somebody gave it to me as a free link to a download. I played it for about 15 minutes and then realized I just don't miss it at all, because it was so simple and so linear and just like, it's not complicated enough. So on retro, no. I think pre-PlayStation 2, probably not. But games being re-released and remastered is freaking brilliant. And you're going to see it real time this holiday with Call of Duty Modern Warfare being remastered. We got the Halo collection, and I have it, and I liked it, and it was fun. And the truth is, Halo 2, I never even opened the box until I got the remastered. So I played Halo 1 and I played like Halo 4, but I skipped 2 completely, played 3 for a little bit, and I don't remember why I didn't play Halo 2. I was probably playing Grand Theft Auto San Andreas or something. I think it was that. I think I just got so consumed by GTA that I never bothered to open Halo. But I played it again in the retro and it looked awesome. The Gears of War collection, I played Gears 1 so freaking hard. I never wanted to touch either of the next 2 games. I broke it out, like that. That's the kind of stuff that I think is cool, and I think people will buy it. Call of Duty Modern Warfare, which I did play, is still my favorite of all the Call of Duty games, and I think that there's a lot of people who have a nostalgia for that. So I think as long as the publishers can make money doing it, and they certainly can because they have all the artwork and the assets, remastering is not that hard anymore. I think that's great, and so I frankly think it almost doesn't matter if we have new consoles, because PS4 games are going to come out on PS5 and be remastered, and this is going to be a regular thing. So I think you're going to get a lot of good old content coming back again and again and again. And it's really cool for games like Red Dead Redemption, who you might have missed it. Came out in 2010. I mean, that game on the Xbox One or PS4 will be freaking awesome. So yeah, I think that it's a good idea. It's inexpensive for the publishers to do. The games they're bringing back are their old favorites. So again, inexpensive and relatively high demand. They'll make money selling 500,000 of these. So if they sell a couple million, it's just gravy and good for the gamer. And I mean, the real important thing I think is price them appropriately. So the Halo collection, the Gears collection were like $60, but you got 4 games in each one, or 3 games in Gears, but all the DLC. Call of Duty Modern Warfare, they're not even selling it. You've got to pay $20 extra for a bundle, or you got to buy the $100 bundle, and the game gets thrown in free. If they sold it standalone, it'd probably be excessive to charge you $40 for it. They're basically charging you $20, but they're forcing you to buy Infinite Warfare, and I think people didn't like that, so they thumbed down the poor Infinite Warfare trailer. I think that's why. I don't think people actually hated the trailer. The trailer looked fine to me, but in any case, yes, it's a profit deal. I think they're trying to make money. Anyway, fellow babies, thank you for joining us on SIFTD.net. Once again, this is the Pachter Factor. I love all my fellow babies, and I'm glad you guys keep joining us. I hope you're joining us real time and you're members of SIFTD.net. It's $50 a year. If you're not a member and you just don't choose to be one, you can watch this on YouTube a week later. If you're watching a week late, I understand. I want to make sure you have access to Pachter Factor. We'll see you next week. I'm only on TV all the time because I've got Shane here with nothing better to do to put me on TV all the time.